Hi there, welcome to your first Scratch real programming project. This program will be called Around the Stage. So when you name it, you will name it with a lowercase a and a capital T and a capital S, just like this. No spaces, no other symbols required. And when you play it, this is what yours will look like. I chose a unicorn on a sparkly background. You can choose whatever sprite you want and whatever background you want. But your job is to make your sprite go around in a square and end up exactly where it started. So I'll play it again. It goes across the top. Let's kind of look at it. And then turns and goes down. And then turns again and goes to the left. And then turns again and appears to glide to the top. And then reorients the same way it started. So this will be your job to create, and I'll get you started. So your first job is to start a new project and then name it Around the Stage. Then you can choose a backdrop. To begin with, I want you to choose the backdrop with a grid. So you'll go to New Backdrop, and I want you to go all the way to the bottom and choose the XY grid. You can change this later, but for now it helps us to see exactly the size of the grid and where our sprite is moving. You'll notice the middle is our origin of 0, 0. X's go horizontal and Y's go up and down. The X range is from negative 240 to positive 240. The Y range is from positive 180 down to negative 180. The next thing you can do is choose a sprite. So I'll choose a beach ball for today. Then I want to get rid of the cat. I've had enough of the cat. So choose your scissors and delete the cat. Next, you want to orient your sprite where you want it to begin and end. You'll notice that as you move your mouse, your XY coordinates change. But as you move your sprite, you can see where the others, the go-to right here will change. So that's going to help you later. So we're going to put it where we want and then begin to work on moving it. To begin your game or your project, we're going to start with scripting the background. I know it seems kind of weird because you haven't really done that yet, but this sets the scene for our entire project. The very first button to click will be to choose the flag. The flag is under the event panel, so when the flag is clicked, we're going to do two things. We're going to initialize our sprite where we want it to be. When the flag is clicked, we're going to broadcast a message to the rest of the game. And the rest of the game is going to be called initialize. This will set the stage for our game to begin. So we'll program that in just a minute. And then we're going to wait a second, which is under control. And then we're going to broadcast another message, which is under events. We're going to broadcast. At that point, we are ready to begin. And we're going to name that message Walk Around. And click OK. So no matter where our sprite is on the screen, when we click the flag, it will initialize. But first we have to tell our sprite what to do when we click on initialize. So we want our sprite to begin right up here. So we're going to go to the event and say, when I receive a broadcast called initialize, what do I want to do? Well, I want my sprite to be up here in the corner. So I'm going to move it, and luckily these numbers have prepared themselves for me, so I can just go there. So when I receive the command initialize, I'm going to go here. Now, I didn't choose a very good sprite because you can't tell the direction. So I'm going to choose a different sprite. We'll choose the girl. and take away the ball. And what I want to do to my sprite is make it smaller, so you'll probably need to do this too. So you click on the shrink button, click on your sprite, shrink your sprite, click off the sprite, and then orient the sprite where you want it. So whenever we receive the command initialize, when I receive initialize, I'm going to move my sprite to this location. I also want to make sure my sprite is facing the right direction because she could get turned around and flipped over. And so we want to set her at the right location to begin with. So right now she's facing 90 degrees, so we're going to face her 90 degrees. Now if I move her, when I click on this block, she goes where she's supposed to be and faces the right direction. So if she got rotated, which we'll practice here, if she gets rotated, when we click on initialize, she begins in the right place. So we're ready to begin now moving our sprite to where she needs to go. Before we move on to the next sprite, we need to learn about comments. So if you right-click in your script panel and add a comment, this allows us to write a note to ourselves about what we just did. So we'll say initialize to top left corner facing right. And we're going to drag this comment just on top of our block, and it'll draw a little arrow and attach itself. And then we can fold it up, and so we can look at it later if we need to remember. Our code is going to eventually get more complicated, so we want to keep it easy to read. Now we're ready to make our sprite begin the walk across the top of the stage. Remember, whenever we programmed the script area, we made another broadcast message called walk around. So this is what our sprite is going to receive to begin walking around. So when she receives the message walk around, so we drag this one to a separate block and we pull down the menu and we'll see we have walk around ready. So when she receives the method or the call to walk around, we want to begin moving her. So we're going to go to the motion and look through all of our choices. As you go through the 4 sides of the block, you need to choose different choices to make her move. So I want you to learn how each one works. We're going to go with an easy one here to move 10 steps. Now when we click on this block, she moves 10 steps. Did you notice that? That was 10 pixels. So what's nice about this is as we move her, we can put her back and then keep testing our code to get where we want it. Now we could move her 200 steps, but then she appears to jump, and we don't want that. We want her appear to look like she's moving across the board and not just teleporting. So 200 isn't going to work. So if we do 10 steps, and then we have her pause in the middle, or to wait a second. In fact, let's just wait half a second, which is 0.5. Then we could move 10 steps again. So let's see, let's put her back and make her move. So she went 1, 2 kind of. Put her back and make her move. So this could get tedious because it's a long way across the board in 10-step increments. And so if it's 240, it's 480 steps across. If we went 10 steps at a time, that'd be about 24 of those pieces of code. So I'm going to take this one off and put a loop on it. So loop is under control. We're going to repeat this section. Let's do 10 or 20 times and see where we go. So put her back and then watch her go. All right, so this could take forever. I'm going to make her move a little faster by going 20 steps at a time. So put her back, make her go. And then we're going to see how she ends up on the other end. Did we go too far? Oh, wow, that was really perfect. Okay, it doesn't happen very often when it's that perfect. So when we get here, what do we need to do? We need to rotate her to begin the journey down the side. So we're going to turn her. We can either turn degrees or we can point her in a direction. So I'm going to turn, and I'm going to turn 90. And so as you've noticed, I didn't just click on that. If you click any piece in your block, it's going to do that whole piece. So she's over here trying to move. All right, so once again, back to the beginning and go. Let's see if we got this right on the end. She should stop and turn. Okay, so I'd probably want to adjust that where she doesn't go quite as far. But then your job is then to create another code block to make her go down and then turn and go back across to the left and then turn, and then to end up exactly where you began, which for us was negative 191, 104. When you finish, then you can change your background and call me over to look at it. I'm excited to see what you do. I wanted to add one more piece here when you finish, which is comments, which is something important that sometimes we forget to do. So right click, add a comment. The comment for the second block is to walk the four, or however you want to say it, sides of the screen, or the stage, we'll call it the right name, of the stage. So we're going to attach this to this block, fold it up, and be on our way. Another cool thing that Scratch can do for you as you get more coding going on is you can right click and then clean up, which puts everything all nice and tidy up here. One more thing, as you continue this block, you will just keep adding on to this point. You will not need to start a new receive block. Just keep building on this one so you end up with only initialize and walk around.